I love that tribute there that said Emily was so much more than our local news anchor. And we've been hearing a lot of that and what she meant to the community and the organizations that meant a lot to her. And
Look who's joining us.
I know. Look
Wagner.
who's back. Hi, Paul.
Retirement.
Ladies.
Thank you for coming in today.
Sure, tough week for everybody.
It is.
It's been heavy.
Is. And you know, it's times like this, like I thought about you quite often because, you know, we worked together for so long. And then when something like this happens, I think that we found a lot of comfort in being all together.
And, you know, and I think you think of those stories in the newsroom, and John Last was on the couches yesterday saying how his noise-canceling headphones wouldn't cancel us out. You remember those days, right?
Not Emily's laugh. Headphones wouldn't do it. I think he would need something a lot more powerful than that. But, you know, we talk so much about the fun stuff, and I have some fun stories. But I don't want to have people forget that she was a terrific reporter.
She was.
A really good reporter.
Really good.
I did the crime and courts beat for years and years, and she came in and she picked it up a heck of a lot faster than I did. And she had contacts in the police and the FBI, the ATF, everywhere, and they trusted her. But what she did really well, even than that, she had empathy. And the victims of crime and their families, they knew that she cared. If there was vandalism, if there was a murder, something in the neighborhood, she cared. And I remember helping her with a couple of special reports she did on cold cases. And she really wanted to do that to bring some closure for these families who their relative had been murdered, you know, 20 years ago. And she was hoping that doing these stories would create some phone calls or tips and give some closure to these families. And she was that was important to her.
She was trusted.
She really was.
On both sides, by officials and also just by the people in the streets, the community. They really did trust her to tell their stories.
She started as an overnight producer, and so that wouldn't have necessarily been on your shift.
Right.
But as you reflect back of your time here at Erie News Now and WICU, what are some of your earlier memories of Emily coming into the fold?
Well, I just know that she always was willing to do whatever it took, even if she wasn't really familiar with it, you know, from going from a producer to a reporter to an anchor. And the thing, as far as her adaptability that I really remember, is a lot of our viewers probably know that we have a Caribbean news, you know, operation, and that, you know, she would broadcast the news to the Caribbean, but one time one of the important reporters down in St. Thomas left. So there was a big hole there, so I only said, I'll move to St. Thomas.
I'll go.
She moved to the U.S. Virgin Islands. She drove a car. She got an apartment. She found out the leaders in business and industry and politics.
Made friends.
She covered it for months, and she did a great job.
Well, most recently, she's been doing a Guam newscast, and she didn't just throw it together. She said, I spent an hour and 45 minutes looking into this one, 45-second story because she wanted to do it right. So whether it was right down the street or in Guam, she really did want to make sure that stories were accurate and perfect.
And I remember when she was given the assignment to go to USVI, I was kind of disappointed because it was supposed to be a long-term kind of thing. She was called back early because COVID hit. So she ended up coming back, but she was kind of disappointed. She was really starting to root a little life down there, and she was enjoying it.
And of course, she was a sun worshiper, so
yes.
there's nowhere better than being in St. Thomas.
And the water. And actually, I have a story coming up at 6 o'clock all about her work in the Caribbean. And she went up to Toronto to cover a carnival so many times, and to see her in that light is so much fun. And so that's coming up at 6 o'clock. But I talked to one of our correspondents with One Caribbean Television, DeAndre Hamilton, and she said she had this ability just to connect with people. I mean, right away, in their lowest lows, their devastation by a hurricane, and she connected with them, and she was fearless.
She really did. Now, a couple funny stories.
Yeah, let's do it.
You've heard from some of your other guests. She loved Irish culture. She loved the St. Patrick's Day parade. She and I walked in it for many, many years. She loved meeting people, taking pictures with them, throwing candy to the kids. She'd wear funny hats, green shamrocks, tattoos, you name it. Absolutely loved it. And we had a great time. Her family would meet us at the Irish bars. We had a great time. But one year, right after that, I recall we were in the newsroom, and one of the big traveling Broadway shows was coming. I think it was Riverdance or Lord of the Dance. And we were talking about how much we were looking forward to going with the Irish step dancing. And she looked over to me and she said, I do that. I said, you do what? She said, I can do that. I did that, for years. As a kid, I took dance lessons. And of course, me being a smart aleck, I said, show us.
Yeah,
you can't Irish dance. What do you Took her sweater off, in the newsroom, got up with high heels, and she did the whole Irish step dance. And she was fantastic.
She was a ring, what do you call them? Didn't she do that?
I think she did.
Yes.
And it's funny because our owner, Brian Lilly, recalls that being one of his first memories of her breaking down in the Irish jig because it goes to your
she
memory.
Didn't just do it, she did it really good.
Yeah.
I mean, she was fantastic.
And what's funny, I know I met her parents and her sister on St. Patrick's Day. I think we all got to know the Matson family.
She would take that day off and days after off because she was going to do it upright, celebrate it right.
She knew how to do it upright. The other funny story that I remember was we all know how she would give eggs to the newsroom. You know, she and her husband had chickens out in their property out in Fairview. And the first time she gave me the eggs, I looked at them, I took them home, my wife and I had them, and my wife said, these are the best eggs we've ever had. So the next week, we got more eggs. Fantastic. We said, we got to give her a gift. Well, I knew what kind of wine she liked, red wine, she liked Cabernet Sauvignon, so I got this wine. Left it on her desk the next day. She was so thrilled. She thanked me, then came over later and whispered, she said, if the chickens keep laying them, you've got eggs every week.
This is a nice exchange we've got here,
and
Paul.
she never forgot. She never forgot. There would always be a little note on my computer, the eggs are in the refrigerator. Nobody else touch them. And she have my name, Paul, do not touch them.
Those Paul's eggs.
She was proud of those chickens.
Oh, yes.
She loved them.
She invited our families out to go, and I remember when my Leo was, I don't even think he was 1. We all went out to the farm. She showed us the horses. She showed us the coop. She was proud of that.
Yeah, she
She
sure
was, and she liked sharing it.
Did you ever have to give her any advice? Did she ever come to you asking for advice?
When she first started, especially about the crime in the courts, you know, because I had done it for so many years, and the court system is kind of complicated, the different personalities and the different ways trials happen. She would ask me, but once she got rolling, she was kind of on her own. I mean, we would exchange different people we would meet, or different. I would give her cell phone numbers of different people, but you know, she kind of knew the drill after a few years.
Yeah, she was great. Thank you so much, Paul,
for
coming in today.
It's great to remember her. It's such a difficult week for everybody, but so many good memories too.
There are. We love hearing these stories, and as always, you're such a good storyteller. So we could sit here for hours and listen to your stories. Thanks, Paul.